for some Cowboys headlines here. You guys were talking about this a little bit in the opening segment. I wanted to circle back around to it. Machota asked, is wide receiver a possible legitimate first-round pick? Is that a credible idea? He talks about the top guys, Travis Hunter and Missouri's Luther Burden III, who recently announced he's skipping the senior year. Machota says it would be an interesting pick because wide receiver isn't their biggest need. That would be running back, followed by defensive tackle, and then offensive lineman or defensive end could also arguably be bigger needs at 877-881-1053. I think they have quite a few needs. I wouldn't rank running back higher. I think Dowdle's done a nice job. I'm okay if you go with a day 3 pick and Dowdle next year and see how that goes. I think wide receiver's huge. Brooks, Tolbert, Turpin, solid 4 or 5 guys. Cooks aging and has already taken a big step back from where he is at his peak. I think Cooks plays a whole year. He's a 600-yard receiver. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. I would be ecstatic. And the higher you are picking, the more of a chance you have for an absolute game breaker who could give you like a 2 wide receiver combo like you're about to face with the Bengals. That's what I'm looking at. I'd be excited for that.
I'd definitely be much more excited about a wide receiver than a running back there, for sure. I understand those who would prefer to build inside out, and if you can have an offensive lineman or defensive lineman that you feel is like a beast right there. But also depends on, Broadus is talking about super deep at the defensive tackle spot, so every draft is its own sort of beast there. And I don't know, is this wide receiver class just as like historic as it feels like it's been over the last 5 years?
It's not as deep as it has been.
Okay, so if it's a little less deep there, I think
running back is really, really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to last year, it's much deeper.
I don't think you have Dowdle under contract next year.
Yeah, I think he's he signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So might get too expensive.
So that's kind of where
what's his? I'll look up his value. Is that what you're doing right now, Chief?
Yeah, well, I'm just seeing what he's been on.
I think he's been like a $1 to $2 million dude, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's $1 million base salary guy, but his contract is up.
Yeah. So you don't have a running back then on your roster. I don't think they can play.
Mm-hmm.
So, running back is a need, but at what price? At what price is that need? Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could make a case like a dude that's going to touch the ball 20 times for me. That might be more valuable than the receiver. I think the receiver is also a position. The same argument I think can be made for receiver that they make for running back, where you see guys that are even in the top of the NFL that have been taken day 3, 2nd, 3rd round. But this year's draft, there are 3 wide receivers that I'd be pretty stoked about having in the first round. But I am all about, I feel like the most bang for your buck probably is going to be at the line of scrimmage, whether it's offensive or defensive line. And Rico's a good player. You can upgrade there. Rico Dowdle doesn't have a breakaway speed. He's solid. He's not really doing anything to put fear in defenses, in my opinion. You're not having a game plan to stop a Rico Dowdle. I think you can upgrade at the running back position. I don't mind bringing him back so you've got somebody there at the position. But Rico's solid player. I don't think he's one of these game-breaking type of dudes that maybe you'd have a chance to get in this draft class, even if you waited till day 2.
4.5 yards per attempt. That's just giving you a rushing success rate, a consistent run threat. Over the cap, projecting $4 million based on his production this year. He's worth significantly more than what the Cowboys are paying him. I would have to pass there. If he wants to come back at around $1 million, which is, what he's been playing at on this 3-year deal, then I'm with you guys there. But I just think, as you stated, running back depth plays in the 2nd and 3rd, maybe even the 4th round, where you could get a definitive upgrade and use that first rounder on a wide receiver. And at O-line, with Hoffman playing well against a bad defense, do you look at that like we might have something here? Or do you look at it like, dude, Dak's aging and we need to make sure this offensive line is good enough to protect and establish a great running game? How do you approach that? How do you approach what you have right now as a collection of dudes around Tyler Smith that you're hoping are better?
I think you got a guy that can play there. Hoffman, I think, can be a starter. I think TJ Bass could possibly be a starter for you. I liked what we saw from Awesome Richards. It's unfortunate he got hurt. But I think they're probably – and Nate Thomas is a guy, we'll see if the coaching staff changes.
Sure.
But the staff liked him. I know Mike Solari was a big fan of his, who they drafted late. So they've, for the first time in recent memory, they've got some depth there. But I still think if you're sitting there and the highest rated player is one of these offensive tackles, whether it's Banks or Will Campbell or name the guy, I'm not going to ever have an issue with addressing offensive line. But you do feel better about your depth than you ever have. I think defensive line, whether it's a tackle, an edge, that's a screaming need. What's up with DeMarcus Lawrence? Is he back for you? You're right now you're starting Carl Lawson opposite Micah Parsons. He's not back next year. Osa Odighizuwa is a free agent. You've got massive holes on the future of that defensive line. I think if I had to bet where is that first-round pick going to go, it's a defensive lineman.
Tackle or end?
I'd probably a tackle right now because I don't think you're going to be high enough to get Abdul Carter, and that'd be the dude that I would absolutely love for
He's
Penn
more
State.
of an edge.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a look at the draft, and we're getting more into that a little bit earlier based on the Cowboys' record, and it's a lot of fun, picking at 13 currently, Brian.
I think the best offensive tackle in the draft has a bad knee.
Which one?
Josh Simmons from Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. He just declared yesterday.
They won't be looking to go tackle.
I mean, to me,
the
questions are, do you feel like that Will Campbell from LSU is a guard? Do you feel like Banks from Texas is a guard? There's people projecting them both to play guard than to play. I think Campbell at LSU can play tackle. I don't know about Banks at Texas playing tackle. I think he could play guard, depending on how you want to go. But best offensive tackle I've seen is Josh Simmons from Ohio State.
All righty.
And he's got a knee injury.
Up next in the CNOTE, disturbing headline out of Idaho. Darwin Van Der Esch, daddy of Leighton Van Der Esch, arrested outside of Riggins, Idaho this week on domestic battery charges. The 61-year-old taken into custody, felony attempted strangulation, cited for misdemeanor domestic battery, misdemeanor intentional destruction of a telecommunication device. Looks like we had a phone breaking.
Mm-hmm.
A native of Riggins, Leighton. It's a good time for a pop-up. Leighton was a first-round pick of the Cowboys in 2018, standout career at Boise State. Neck injury slowed him down. So that's a tough one there for the Van Der Esch family to have to go through. Might have an unhappy holidays. They're around. That's tough. Skip Bayless says he.
Hey, watch your mouth, woman.
I didn't know Skip Bayless was married. I'd read a story a number of years ago, but his wife Ernestine has been grilling him over his unwavering Dallas Cowboys loyalty. That might be the biggest crock I've ever heard.
Sure.
Skip Bayless was a Cowboys antagonist when he was here. I mean, he spent the majority of his TV career antagonizing the Cowboys, and then suddenly ESPN or somebody, Fox, pivoted to the idea that he was going to become a Cowboys super fan and lead the charge there. It's just nauseating to look at. Okay, Cowboys storylines going into this Bengals game. Krusty's Corner's coming up in about 6-7 minutes. He'll have the film details on the Bengals offense for us. Will the Cowboys get Diggs and Martin back? And if so, how much does that help? I think it's potentially massive for the defense. If you could have Diggs, Bland, and Jordan Lewis out there, that's one of the best collections of corners in the entire league. And you need takeaways. All three of those guys are ball gods.
Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, and we haven't gotten to see it.
No,
we haven't. Like
what the hell?
There's something happening that just will not allow for Bland and Diggs to be on the field together for really any amount of time. It will be exciting, and especially in a matchup like this, if you're really trying to win this one with the passing attack of the Bengals. You're going to need all hands on deck.
All hands on deck for this one if you're going to do that. There's a path for this one, though. There is a path as you look at this Bengals offense.
Nice.
So we'll get into that at 3:40.
Has a team ever come back from 3-7 to make the playoffs?
What did the Rams do last year?
They didn't make the playoffs, but
Yeah, they did. They lost to the Lions in the wild card round.
wow,
That Goff staff. That was like
I think they got beat by the Cowboys. They lost the game.
Goff.
They lost the game against the Cowboys and then reeled off. I think they won all
They
their games.
did go on a hot.
me
They got Kyron Williams back. Remember we were talking like Stafford MVP second half of the season. But
no, they went on a run. I can't
remember
believe
what they started
went.
off. Yeah, they ended up.
I think they had four wins at the time and then reeled off. I think I got that right.
If Diggs comes back and plays his best football, and if healthy Zach Martin can combo up with Terrence Steele like they got better at last year, who knows?
The question is, will they just continue to play Hoffman? You know, or are they holding
that on the table?
Yeah, they holding Martin out just to make sure that he's like fully healthy. But you know how we
need at least one game to see Is healthy Zach Martin better than Brock Hoffman? I sure hope so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I asked you guys this question the other day. It's 72% Zach Martin better than 100% Brock Hoffman.
I mean, the way Hoffman's been playing right now, I would just Zach until you're 90% plus.
Yeah.
Don't push it, man.